like it's working a little bit better. What's up, everybody? I'm here at the indoor range. I'm going to do a retest, figure out why this gun keeps jamming, and that the recoil rod overgassing, and if it is that reason, I can't blame the fault on the actual recoil rod that holds down the dust cover. Okay, so I'm here today to test that out. I got 3 different types of ammo. I have some S&B brass, don't remember the grainage. I have some military surplus ammo that I got from Atlantic Firearms. Don't remember the grainage, but I'll put that down. And also got our tried and true Tula ammunition. So I'm gonna run those 3 different types of ammo. It was a hard stoppage. It caused the dust cover recoil rod to come forward with the charging handle because it was jammed up. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that right now. I'm gonna do a few rounds of each different type of ammo, and hopefully everything goes good. First one is the one I have problems with. This is that military surplus ammo. This has the last round bolt hold open feature from the X-Tech Tactical magazine, so that's why it stayed locked to the rear. See? Cool, right? This is a few rounds of, this is the S&B ammo. Okay, so no issues there. I'm gonna get the Tula ammo loaded. Sometimes the casing gets stuck and it becomes like a double feed, but it's like once in a blue. I sighted it in, it's pretty decent.
It's probably an operator error.
Probably. Usually is. Yeah, see, look, just racked it. Yeah, I was doing it again.
Is it brass?
It got flattened again. Recoil rod is getting crushed. There's all the gas back pressure. So it's causing this gun to be unreliable, causing the dust cover to open up on its own. It's so flattened here that I can't even get it to seat back into place over here. Look, now it's stuck. So what's going on is when I'm shooting, this bolt's coming back, it's crushing this recoil rod assembly right here on the back end that's provided with the dust cover, and because of that's occurring, when the bolt tries to go forward, it brings the charging, or brings the recoil rod with it. It brings this with it, and then it allows the dust cover to open up. So we're going to verify that the Tula ammo, I think that's what the problem is. The Tula ammo is perfectly good. Nothing in the chamber, all clear. Yep. Yeah, so it loves the Tula ammo. It doesn't like the SMB, and it doesn't like the, I don't know what this is from, but I got it from, I don't know how many rounds, 700 something rounds from Atlantic Firearms. But this is some type of non-corrosive 1970s ammo. I'm sure somebody that knows this will point it out in the comment section. The Tula ammo is the only thing that works on this gun, which is a shame, because I'd like it for just to be like all my other AKs where it's not finicky or picky. Because of that, firing and suppressed, I had that issue. First I thought it was because it was over gassed and that's what was crushing it. And that still may be the case, you know. I'm not an expert in this, but I just know that the Tula ammo worked the best. It was very consistent. So what I'm gonna say is that, hey, for the firearm I've had issues, and it's ammo sensitive, okay? So let's not discredit the actual overall opinion on this aftermarket and military equipment. The military equipment, handguards, dust cover, and the KPYK adjustable stock from Crooks, Raven. This Raven stock, let's not go ahead and say that's the problem. Let's just say that this gun is very finicky and it's very particular, because even with the crushed guide rod in there, it still managed to function right now. Before, it didn't function, and the only ammo I was using was that military 1970s ammo. That was just constant issues on the outdoor range, and even when I brought it back here to test fire it, if you do have a malfunction where it crushes that guide rod, it's going to be a pain in the ass to fix it, because I used different ammo and it seemed like it fixed itself. Like the ammo, I guess, the ammo was pretty much strong enough to push it back and force its way through that guide rod being crushed. But yeah, we're gonna get back to the tabletop review and talk more about some of the other issues I ran into with this setup. What's up, everybody, and welcome back to the channel. I want to start this video by saying thank you to everyone that's subscribed to my channel and has checked out my current content that I have posted for you guys. It means a lot to me. It's very motivational. I'm going to keep coming out with cool content like this. So before I get into this video, I just wanted you guys to know that without you guys, nothing would matter, okay? This channel wouldn't be what it is, and I'd be talking to myself. But now I have a platform where I can tell you guys the mistakes I've made in builds and the mistakes I've made across my journey in life, and hopefully you guys learn something. Thank you guys again for supporting me, liking, tagging, sharing, subscribing. That helps out the channel a lot. It helps the algorithm. YouTube hates content like this, so if you support the 2A community, go ahead and subscribe. That's the best way to build this channel. I have two different manufacturers I want to focus on. We have the military equipment parts. We also have the KPYK Crooks stock on here. So from the stock, pistol grip, extended charging handle, dust cover, and the upper and lower handguards, all that's made in Ukraine. The main focus on this video is going to be the furniture accessories on this gun. So we're going to start from the front of the gun and work our way to the rear. I want to start from the front because this is a very interesting, unique three-piece lower handguard design. I personally have never seen anything like it. We have a M-lock slotted lower handguard. We have 1, 2, 3, 4 slots on each side, and then we kind of have a slot and a half at the bottom, and maybe, I don't even remember what this was at the bottom. There's another M-lock slot cut here. But you're very limited as far as the real estate for the lower, where you can place your forward grip or any type of grip, angle grip, vertical grip, whatever it is at the bottom, because the screws over here. These screws here are put here for a reason. They are pushing in on the lower handguard retainer plate. So this section here on the bottom is being held in at the lower handguard retainer plate. There's also another section over here where there's 2 more screws. These are hex screws. In total, there's 4 at the bottom, 2 at the front of the receiver, and then there's 2 more at the bottom of the handguard retainer plate. There's little slides that lock into the bottom of the handguard retainer plate, and there's a little slot that locks into the bottom of the lower receiver. Once you tighten those down, you also have 3 hex screws at the bottom on each side of the lower handguard. You have 3 over here, and then you have 2 more at the top on each side. Those are going to hold the upper handguard. On this side of the handguard, I installed a KPYK Crooks 1913 pick rail. This one here is designed and made in Ukraine as well. They made this handguard pick rail that goes over the 3 slots that are provided on this lower handguard. When you have a aluminum receiver that's been Cerakoted, you might run into some fitment issues. You might have to use a little mallet, a little rubber mallet to tap these in. It did peel off some paint, but I thought it was quite interesting. Not only putting it in, it was a pain, but if you wanted to take them out, it's a big inconvenience. I don't know what the problem is, if these were made over spec, or maybe this cut was under spec, but I did have a problem installing these and also taking them out. I had to use a Allen head and hammer down this retaining piece here, the M-lock retaining portion at the bottom. And what it does is it destroys the actual aluminum. It cuts it. I didn't have as much of a problem with this ME equipment lower handguard with these slot cuts as much as I did with the KPYK handguards that they make. These other Raven handguards, this one is a CRC 1A005. This one here, this one's made for the SAM 7 Arsenal Inc. ones. As far as this one here, if you look really close, which I'll show some pictures, there's actually a lot of gouging in the M-lock attachment points because it was so difficult to come out. And it may be a good thing or a bad thing, but I like to change up my setups. I like to change out designs, add things, remove things, lighten it up. This one here is a full-size rail. I'm not a fan of them aesthetically, but they do work. Very, very strong. They're well built. There are some quirks that are different from this to this one, but both of these are designed and made in Ukraine. I didn't want to deal with that issue, so what I did was I actually grabbed the Dremel tool and filed down these M-lock slots here so it can actually fit in without me hammering this in for it to cut and destroy the aluminum. Maybe the newer models or things that have been mentioned in the past, they've fixed it or corrected it or not. I don't know. All I know is the one I have here, they really bite down into the rail, so I'm pretty sure you won't have a problem installing them, but removing them, they're a pain in the ass. I don't think it's the design with the American stuff because the bottom I have a BCM M-lock grip and I didn't have that issue with installing this, moving it forward or back. So this came off like butter. This one must be out of spec. These have to be out of spec. That's the only thing I could think of. I had to sand these down, get them on and off. Putting them on and off on this is a nightmare. You can also add stuff on this side. Same issue I also had with this QD mount here. This is also a Ukrainian QD mount. It's pretty big. I think it's overbuilt, so you won't have a problem with it breaking. M-lock attachments that are for QD mounts, they're about half the size of this, and they take up 1 slot instead of 2. Now, if this design here was like, I think JMac Custom has one where it goes over from one M-lock to another so you don't burn yourself on the original handguard retaining plate for the lower handguard. This is where you would attach the sling. This part here gets hot. So if you wanted to have a more forward grip, this piece wouldn't burn you. I wanted to keep up with the theme. I could have easily added a different M-lock attachment point that took up only 1 slot. And if anything, I would have put it up here. Another thing that I didn't like about this is that it swivels. I have this slung on my back or just hanging downward or just even storing it, taking it out of a bag. I have all this thing twisted up, so I have to go through the whole hassle of like literally taking this off and then redoing everything over again. I don't know what type of aluminum this is. A lot of the stuff I was referencing on their websites, it always says aircraft quality or aircraft grade, but there's different types of aircraft aluminum. They just never state what kind. It's just aluminum. It's just some type of aluminum alloy. These are combat proven from what we've seen in the trenches in Ukraine.
Антон, вылазь! Блядь, не, порву, тут, нахуй! Я понял, я вижу. Крый! Что такое? Да блядь! Ранил? Да гильзы твои, сука! Прикрывай меня. Да! Тихо, тихо, тихо. Слева открытый участок. Проходим его.
These have, you know, been used, but a lot of the videos I've seen, I don't see them running anything with them. There's very few special operations forces out there that do have this with the capabilities of using a scope or some type of magnifier or a red dot. But some of the videos I've seen were in trench warfare where guys are running this, they have nothing attached to it. So it kind of defeats the purpose of having this stuff. Hex screws at the top. You have 2 at the top and 3 at the bottom. The ones at the bottom are longer than the top. The ones at the bottom, what they did from what I can see with the rail disassembled is that they made the threads start at a lower portion into this 3rd section piece here. So it seems like the threads don't start till like they're all the way down here. The problem I ran into was I used the wrong screw in the wrong hole and it messed up the first threads. These hex screws right here. So I installed these 2. So that's maybe one reason why you notice that they don't match the other ones. I used the right length screws, right? So I went back to the drawing board and said, okay, well, this don't make sense. Took it out. No big deal. Nothing was damaged or destroyed. It just made me more conscientious of, hey, that I need to be careful and measure these threads and make sure that they actually touch. When you take these screws and you measure how much thread that actually goes into this middle piece here, this middle handguard plate, which is essentially the skeleton, the skeleton of this, the reinforcement of both these plates on each side. So the reason why I think they did that was they didn't put a lot of threads in here is because they wanted this cleaning rod to run through the middle of it. The cleaning rod running through the middle of it, there's actually a slot cut in the center of this whole rail so the cleaning rod can go in place. If you're gonna modernize this gun, I would have more threads. I would have more of a solid foundation threading this. So basically what I'm trying to say is, you see how the threads are machined all the way through? The screw is all the way tightened down. It came with the rails. This one here. You see how it doesn't catch on this side? You can't even see it. I just want a screw that can actually go through all the way. Because I'm telling you right now, there's only a few threads that are actually holding on to this plate from this center support. This is the one I got from Home Depot. And look how much longer it is. It sticks out and it grabs a lot more real estate. And then when it comes to the cleaning rod going through the center section, when you start adding other M-lock attachments, the screws sit up a little bit higher, so they'll interfere with the cleaning rod. They'll catch it and you won't be able to take the cleaning rod out to actually utilize it. So having that cut out is really not going to work. Even with the accessories that I added as far as the grip, you still have these plates here. They hold the front handguard retainer in. They still protrude enough to where you wouldn't be able to use the cleaning rod even if I didn't have these parts on here. So hopefully that helps out a little bit more, and the understanding of why that is an issue for me is just more security when you have a longer bolt going in through the threads, less risk of stripping or damaging. You know, even if you don't use an insert, you still have a lot more threads to catch on to compared to what is given from the factory. On this side over here, just hand tighten this one right here. This one's stripped. So this one's held together with red Loctite. It goes to show that this is still a solid platform because it hasn't come loose. And I've been testing this too. I've been checking it because that's one thing I was worried about, this screw just falling out. Why not put an insert in there? If you look at the KPYK, the crook, If you look closely in the attachments where any type of screw is, there's actually inserts in there. So they have a steel insert put into, so it's like almost like a helicoil, so that you don't damage or strip out the screws. So for this, with the cleaning rod going through, it doesn't make any sense. And the reason why I say that is because after you make those adjustments to tighten these down, these screws over here at the front handguard retaining plate, these screws bite down into the cleaning rod. You can't even get the cleaning rod out. It's stuck in there. The purpose for that, it just doesn't work. So I say go ahead and get rid of the cleaning rod. Aesthetically, I like it, but it has no function, no purpose. I cannot pull it out. Okay, I had to have this installed with the whole entire plate on one side missing, just so I can use a tool to pick up the cleaning rod and push it through with a hammer at the front while it goes into the lower receiver. So it was a big pain in the butt just to get this aesthetics. Yes, it looks good, but it has no function whatsoever. You have a metal screw going into aluminum. Now you have metal on metal, a tight engagement. The aluminum's soft, it can strip. And I think that's what happened over here. KPYK, they come with information on the correct torque specs. They come with a plethora of information on how to install this stuff. All the ME equipment, this doesn't come with anything. This has no directions. So if you have somebody that doesn't know what the hell they're doing, they're gonna run into a lot of issues with stuff stripping out, and they're gonna blame the manufacturer. I use minimal torque on the front screws here, and this one here. This one's really tight. These two on the sides, because I have so much thread going into this handguard. When you're looking at this one, this handguard from Crooks, and you're comparing it to this one here from Military Equipment, I say the fit and finish is better on this one, but the specs are way off on the M-lock attachment points for these attachments here. And I want to say too, even with the American handguards, maybe they put too much of a thick coating. I don't know. But just be aware that if you're trying to keep this in mint condition and pretty, and you never use this for what these were intended for, which was combat and military applications, then I wouldn't suggest these to you. You wouldn't like it. For this length over this one, the full length handguards, because now I have access to use a bayonet. The only problem is I would have to go to a different muzzle device up front. You choose whatever works best for you. As far as heat dissipation, it's pretty good with these slots cut here. The 4 up top, there's 4 holes drilled up top, it's pretty big. So you'll have heat dissipating on that. We talked about the handguards to exhaustion. Let's go ahead and move on to the rear. I think I've covered everything I could think of. Dust cover. A lot of people ask me, I've seen pictures of this. They jumped in my DMs, they jumped into my Instagram account and asked me questions. Does it hold 0? That's what everybody wants to know. Does it hold 0? And I can say, for what I'm using it for, it definitely holds 0. Groups down there, some 3 to 5 round shot groups, and then take the dust cover off, close it, and then see if that actually causes a shift of impact, okay? A point of impact shift, and verify that it can hold at 0, okay? So, be right back. I'm gonna set this up. I can actually say from experience with multiple top covers, multiple Picatinny dust covers, that this one is not the greatest up front. You have 2 screws under the rear sight. You also have a pin that gets pushed in with a C-clip. There's a C-clip right here. In order to install this top cover, it's almost as a pain in the ass to some people installing a rear sight leaf, as far as the tension on that spring that holds this in place, which I like because it's solid. As far as it shifting side to side from opening and closing, no. You can actually adjust. So you can, if you notice on mine, on this side here, there's a gap, right? Because of these 2 screws up front, I can loosen them. If the rear tension in the back of the trunnion is not pressed up against here, I can move it forward or back. So you might have something that's out of spec. You might have the rear sight block that's not perfectly pushed forward or back all the way in or out or whatever. All these different variations of different AKs. Now you have an adjustable position point up here at the front where you can go forward or back. What I did was I pushed down on it. Push down on this until I got it to come through the other side. But this is a very thin piece of aluminum right here. I don't know if this is going to be a weak point of this whole setup. For what it was designed for, that might be an issue. I can't tell you that. All I'm going to tell you is that that portion right here is so thin that I'd be a little bit worried. They could have made this thicker. There is no purpose for this rear sight. I've seen other videos, like Atlantic Firearms posted a video of this top cover and this thing was just sitting flat and pretty. I've tried to adjust, there's a screw under here to adjust the tension on this to make it sit flat, but it does not work. I have it to the point where the threads are almost coming out. It's a hex screw. You screw it up to tighten it. But what is the point, right? You say, well, now you have the option, so backup irons, right? You can't see them if you have all this shit up front. There's no point. But there, like I said before, there are guys out there that are running this without any of this. So maybe that may make sense to them that they need this setup to still work, but it does not work. It's not a solid lockup. I wouldn't trust this gun shooting past 100 yards at all. It's just not, it's not an accurate setup. You can see how far it sits up, right? And how much it moves. Good on them aesthetically. Again, you notice the trend. We aesthetically pleasing, but functionality wise, it has no purpose. I want this to work. I wanted it to be like, hey, maybe I'll just go ahead and just, if I ever get in a situation, I'll just drop these off. Boom, now I still got my gun in the battle, in the fight. I wouldn't rely on this, okay? Now, if you're the manufacturer, you want to jump in the comment section, tell me I'm doing something wrong, please go ahead. I'm pretty sure somebody else will. This the weakest, thinnest part of this section. I would reinforce more aluminum here. Make this stronger. As far as the lockup in the rear, pull this off, smack it down. It doesn't move. Very thick material here, because what this is, you have to change this piece out in the rear. So you have to take your factory guide rod retainer out and change it out and use their rear section. So it locks down into the top cover. It works. It's built very well. The paint on it is really good. I don't have issues with fitting different types of stuff. I tried a Geisley scope rail on here. I tried the Aimpoint or Unity riser on this that I have over here. I have a Unity riser that bites down to this. Didn't have any issues where it wouldn't fit. Not much to say on the grip. I see this is a military equipment pistol grip. It's hollow at the bottom. It's all the way through. It comes a lot of this stuff too. A lot of these manufacturers from Ukraine, I noticed they all come with Allen keys. So if you don't have tools, they are provided with it, which I like that. I like the curved back. I like how they have a little slant at the bottom here, where maybe it might be beneficial to have a little bit more, but all in all, it's okay. It might not line up with everybody's hand. Everybody has different types of hand placements as far as like how fat their fingers are or how thin they are. Don't really care for these pieces here. Zenico does the same thing when they have those cuts in there. It doesn't bother me. This is aluminum. It's super smooth. Sweating, no gloves. If you're that person that likes to go butt naked, this will be an issue. If you have sweaty meats, it will slip. So to each his own. I'm just giving you a heads up. I have an enhanced charging handle from Military Equipment. I haven't magnetic tested it, which I should have, but I'm gonna say this is steel, some type of steel. It reminds me of the M13 design. It's gnarled finish. It has a screw that bites down into the charging handle on the carrier. Torque it down. When I torque it, the Allen key bends, and that's how I know it's tight as shit. This one here hasn't flown off. Thank you, Jesus. It stayed on, no problems. And it looks great. They got their crest there, Ukrainians, awesome, love it. What else can I say about that? We're gonna move on to, I feel like this is the best thing for the AK platform that Ukrainian has come out with as far as furniture, okay? That's on the American market. Not only is it aesthetically pleasing, it works, it has so many different functionalities. I have a whole entire video. I think this was started my channel, was this stock right here, okay? Yes, I have Zenico stuff, but this right here, this has been a pleasure to shoot with. It's been a very enjoyable experience. It looks great. It functions great. It's built very, very well. A lot of thought, a lot of effort was put into this stock. I've talked about a long time ago is I wish they would come out with a 4.5 pin or a 5.5 millimeter pin version of this, where I can just take this off so I don't have to use an original rear tang trunnion. I want to use it on a folder. They said they may have had something in the works. I don't know if they were BSing. If something came out, I'm unaware of it. Come on, guys. Let's do this. You can take this piece off here and still utilize all this. Now you can have an option to run this on 2 different versions or 3 different versions or something different, right? Not saying there's something wrong with it the way it is, but I mean, if we're going to lighten the load, right? Because we do have different materials we're running all over the whole gun. Let's just get rid of this, right? If we don't need it, we can get rid of it. This model does need it. Cool. All you had to do was just get rid of this screw right here that's holding this rear stock in and add some type of device here that locks in place. If you want to know more about this stock, please check out my video. There's other guys too that made content on this stock. Yeah, so if you're curious about purchasing some of this stuff, I hope this video has been very informative and educational for you. Go ahead and jump in the comment section. I do appreciate you guys in there, and I try to respond to everybody with a question. As always, thank you guys for tuning in. You guys have a blessed day. Take care. Be safe. Till then.